As someone who severely disliked Danganronpa V3 Killing Harmony, it took time for me to patronize anything written by series creator Kazutaka Kodaka. It bothered me that following that abortion of an ending, everyone in the anime world kept tripping over themselves to work with him when, in my opinion, he should have been a pariah. To me, the way he handled the final chapter of Danganronpa was akin to setting a building aflame for the insurance money. It kind of reminded me of Game of Thrones and how series creators David Benioff and D.B. Weiss had unlimited potential for future success, but they ended the series the way they did, and now, where are they? In the case of Kodaka, enough time has passed for me to admit I'm not upset he's been given a chance to redeem himself. In the time since Killing Harmony, he's put out a handful of games, including Death Come True, World's End Club, Master Detective Archives Rain Code, as well as some anime, including the subjects of today's episode, Akudama Drive and Tribe 9. Today on Anime Ambush, I want to take a look back at a pair of anime that I initially disregarded, but looking back, I should have seen them earlier. But before we get into it, this video has been brought to you by the Pixcelation Patreon. If you'd like to help me make videos just like this one and net a whole slew of cool benefits, become a patron today for as little as $1 per month. Akudama Drive is a one-core series that aired in the fall of 2020 and features an original story written by Kodaka. In an interesting twist, this one was animated by Studio Pierrot, the monolith behind such works as Yu Yu Hakusho, Ghost Stories, and Naruto. Before we move ahead, can we take a moment of silence to cope with the fact that this was made by the same studio as this? I am without words. Akudama Drive is a noir-inspired cyberpunk western featuring a cast of ne'er-do-wells known in-universe as Akudama. Before you ask, no, it doesn't bother explaining what an Akudama is, but context would suggest it's a name for this world's most heinous criminals. As such, not a single character, even those on the supposed side of justice, are given a name. Instead, characters are given and referred to by titles that hint at their role in the wider world. For example, on one side is the courier, the brawler, and the hacker, while the other has enlisted executioners known as the master, the apprentice, and the boss. In the story, which was reportedly inspired by the works of Quentin Tarantino, the Akudama, including a standoffish courier, a sadomasochistic doctor, a cocksure hacker, and a brash but incredibly powerful brawler, converge on a mission from an unknown source to free the clinically insane cutthroat. As these monstrous criminals dismantle the city, two more individuals, a hoodlum and an ordinary person, are forcibly enlisted in a larger mission to infiltrate and rob the deified Shinkansen. It's not clear at first what the cargo they're meant to steal is, but whatever it is will rock their dystopian society to its core. So, when it aired, I watched the first couple of episodes, but ultimately dropped it because I was bitter towards anything associated with Kodaka. It should come as no surprise that I am a petty bitch. But as time passed, I started to see posts in celebration of Akudama Drive coming from a somewhat unlikely source, the cast of the English dub. While it makes some sense that the voice actors are fans of the work they're producing, the fervent adoration on display was more than anything I'd seen to that point. It would still be a minute before I would start the series in earnest, but once I did, it disturbed me that I slept on this one for as long as I did. Despite the fact that none of the characters had given names, there was such a well-crafted sense of characterization here that forces audiences to bond with them. In addition, with the exception of the series' failure to explain what an Akudama is, the world building is drip-fed to us slowly and methodically through a series of cold opens narrated by a pair of tonally inconsistent animal mascots, and this is definitely written by Kodaka, isn't it? I have to admit, this series does something well that a lot of anime fail miserably at. It tells a consistent, concise, and coherent story in a single core without any real need for a second season. Sure, by the finale, you might be thinking to yourself how cool it'd be to get more content in this world, but if that proves to be impossible or unlikely, that won't ruin your enjoyment of the series we've got. And in a world where even hit shows can and will be cancelled, this is definitely a path more anime studios should take. Tribe 9 is also a one-core series that debuted in the winter 2022 season, and as with Akudama Drive, it credits Kodaka as its creator. In a somewhat unfortunate twist, while I am referring to the anime here, it was recently announced that Tribe 9's game adaptation will be ending service in late November, so if the idea of a dystopia where turf warfare is conducted via extreme baseball sounds interesting to you, the best advice I can offer is to play it while you can. Tribe 9, the anime, was produced by Light & Films, the studio behind such masterworks as Berserk 2016, Akashic Records of Bastard Magic Instructor, and whoa, they also made Call of the Night? Huh. I'll admit, this one is considerably less compelling than Akudama Drive. It's not a bad anime, but the story hesitates to commit to the show's premise. Tribe 9 tells a tale of a world where not only has the government mandated all turf wars between violent gangs be resolved via extreme baseball, but it's also become financially stable to spend all your time in the world participating in blood sport. Extreme baseball, or XB, is just normal baseball, but extreme. It's played on a field the size of a city, and there's 100% more wanton death and property damage than normal baseball. Also, it doesn't matter that much considering things escalate from XP to full-on shonen turf war by the end. I believe this anime would have benefited from more time to cook, as well as more time to tell its story. It only had a single core to work with, and by the finale, we don't have more than a glimpse into Tribe 9's world. To be frank, it wouldn't surprise me if the anime is a prologue for the game. In fact, by the final episode, it feels more like the character's introductory arc than the end of their story. I've been told by someone who plays the game that it's not connected in any way aside from the premise, but my point stands. The anime feels like nothing more than a vignette into the world of extreme baseball. Thank you for watching this episode of Anime Ambush. If it isn't obvious of these anime, I think you should watch Akudama Drive over Tribe 9, but tell me if you're swayed to watch either. If you'd like to support the channel and everything in the Pixelverse, you can subscribe here on YouTube or join the Pixcelation Patreon by following the link in the video description. I've been Pixcelation, and until the next time I see you, stay pixelated, my bits and bobs.